Hello, everyone. This is Joshua Cohen, the student loan lawyer. Welcome to another episode of Student Loan Talk. It is Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. So I wanted to provide a few updates on the COVID-19 CARES Act that was signed into law on March 27th, a little while ago. And so there are still questions surfacing about which loans qualify under the CARES Act, which ones do not, and how this whole thing works. So, as a recap to what I talked about last week, after it was enacted, the CARES Act only affects loans held by the Department of Education. Those would be any direct loan, meaning it was borrowed directly from the Department of Education. There also are a few FFEL loans that, if they're in default, they may have been turned over to the Department of Education, and there are very few Perkins loans that are perhaps turned over to the Department of Education. In general, Perkins loans are do not qualify under CARES because most of those loans are held by the university that you attended when you took out the Perkins loan. FFEL loans were available before July 2010, and those loans were taken out by they were taken out through any entity except the Department of Education. So it could have been a bank, could have been a credit union, could have been a guarantee agency, but not directly from the Department of Education. For those of you that have ever consolidated your loans after July 2010, those are direct loans because as of July 2010, Department of Education direct loans are the only loans that are available. So when somebody asks about Stafford loans, okay, those are loans, but the question is, where were they originated? Is it originated from the Department of Education, which means it's a direct loan? Or was it originated through anybody else, say Sallie Mae or Chase, Wells Fargo, your local credit union, or even a guarantee agency like VSAC or ISAC, which is Illinois' Student Assistance Corp. If it was anyone but Department of Education, it's an FFEL. They do not qualify under the CARES Act. So where you want to go to verify this, again, as I've said before, is studentaid.gov. You should have a login for that. If you've never been there, now's a good time to go. And to learn more about your loans, that's the database held by the Department of Education. You can drill down in there to find out the history of all of your loans, even ones that have been paid off through consolidation or such. And it will clearly say it's a direct Stafford loan, it's an FFEL Stafford. Even Parent Plus loans may or may not qualify. You could have a direct Parent Plus loan that qualifies. You could have an FFEL Parent Plus loan that does not qualify. You could take your FFEL loans right now and even your Perkins loans, consolidate them right now, and they would be direct loans when they are finished being consolidated. So, and they take 30 to 90 days. So when you're done with this, if you decide to go to studentaid.gov and say, oh, goodness, I have FFELs, you can consolidate right through that website. In 30 to 90 days, your consolidation would fund. And for the remainder of the time, through September 30th, 2020, you will enjoy protections under the CARES Act. And what are those protections? Number one, your interest rate is lowered to 0%. No payments are required. And if you happen to have a direct loan that's in default, no collection conduct can occur. That means any tax refund offset will not occur. Social Security offsets will not occur. Wage garnishments will not occur. Talk about the tax refund offset for a second. So if you have a direct loan right now and you're in default and you haven't filed your taxes because you're afraid of losing that refund, now is the time to file. You will get that refund. That protection, all of the protections I just mentioned, end on September 30th, 2020. Your interest rate comes back, your payments are due again. If you're in default, they can chase you for a wage garnishment and all of those other wonderful draconian measures that they have available to them. So if you have an FFEL loan, consolidating now might be a wise choice. If you're in default, getting out of default now is a wise choice. For those of you that have direct loans that are in default, if you are rehabilitating, now's an excellent time to do that as well, because the next 6 months under the CARES Act, you get credit for each one of those months towards your rehabilitation, even though no payment is required. So April, May, June, July, August, September, you're getting 6 payments on your rehabilitation plan without actually making payments. And that means, if you've already made a few payments, you may come out of this fully rehabilitated. If you haven't made payments, you'll only have to make October, November, and December, and you'll be out of default. There's another great advantage of starting rehabilitation right now, especially if you've been subject to a wage garnishment. If now, again, with direct loans, they'll stop the wage garnishment, but that garnishment will come back in October. If you start a rehabilitation, once you make your 5th rehabilitation payment, garnishment stops. So if you start rehab right now, you get credit for 6 payments. You don't start paying again until October, but because your 5th payment happens during the cessation, the garnishment won't come back. That's again why now is the best time to get your loans out of default, no matter what. If you have an FFEL, if you have a Perkins in default, if you have a direct loan in default, go ahead and get those out. I talk about these on my website. Please take a look. If you need assistance, I'm happy to help. But, my concern right now is getting the message out there so that you can take care of these loans on yourself. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, has said for years, you don't need to pay anybody to help you. You're absolutely correct. You don't need me to help you either. Here's the information. What you need me for is when the other side refuses to help you navigate through, you have a simple question, and they don't help you. Quick question that I see here. Someone has an FFEL or an FFELP. Should we consider and push them back into the Fed government direct loan? For most folks, I suggest it's a good idea. The only reason you may not want to consolidate your FFEL is if you've been on IBR, income-based repayment, for quite a while. And the reason I say that is IBR comes with a 25-year forgiveness. If you've been on it since the beginning in 2009 when it rolled out, you already have 10 of your 25 years towards forgiveness. If you consolidate, you reset the clock. I can't tell you if it's worth sacrificing those 10 years. If you've only been on IBR for 2, maybe 3 years, I see no reason not to take the benefit of direct loans. The other advantage of having a direct loan, when all of this is done and we enter back into repayments, there are cheaper payment plans with direct loans versus FFEL. The FFEL, you can only have income-based repayment. With direct loans, you can have repay. The significance is simple. IBR is a 15% formula. Repay is a 10% formula. So repay will always be cheaper. Okay, you have a loan in the CARES forbearance. You think, what exactly should it say? So your servicers should be contacting you if you have a direct loan or an FFEL that qualifies. You should be getting a loan from either a letter from the debt collector or a servicer saying, due to the CARES Act, you are in an administrative forbearance and no payments will be due until October. Under the CARES directives, 6 letters need to go out starting in August, letting you know when you will enter into repayment in October, when your due date will be. So that forbearance is automatic. Now, let me clarify something else. A lot of people have been concerned that they're on track for public service loan forgiveness. They don't want the forbearance because they know they have to make payments. So let me clarify. The cessation and the lack of making payments still counts for public service loan forgiveness. So if you are still working full-time in public service, you do not have to make the 6 payments April through September. They still count towards public service loan forgiveness. More importantly, these still count towards the regular IDR forgiveness, whether you're on repay or pay or IBR. Those come with 20 to 25-year forgiveness. These 6 months still count for that as well. So take advantage of it. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Student loan is a federal loan, I thought, owned by the state of PA. And the state of PA would be PHEA, Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Association. So I guess I'm just screwed? Not necessarily. It is a federal loan. FIA works on federal loans only. But what you have, if FIA is involved, FIA is a guarantee agency, just like VSAC and other companies, ECMC, Education Credit Management. These are guarantee agencies. What they do is guarantee the loan that you took out through anyone but the Department of Education. Again, if you went to Wells Fargo or Sallie Mae or any of those companies, those loans were guaranteed by state agencies, and yours was guaranteed by FIA. When you say it was owned by FIA, that tells me that you defaulted. And the only reason a guarantee agency, well, normally a guarantee agency would have it because you've defaulted. This, again, is why you want to go and look at studentaid.gov and look at your loans. It will also tell you the status. Are you in good standing? Have you missed a few payments? Or are you defaulted? If you're defaulted, now's a great time to get out of default. If you're in good standing, but FIA is involved, that tells me it's still an FFEL, now is still a good time to consider consolidating, getting it to direct loans, taking advantage of the CARES Act protection, and also buying you some time to get your finances in order so that when payments do start again in October, you're in good shape. Let me tell you something else you should all be considering. If you're not already on an IDR, income-driven repayment plan, now's a great time to do it because, unfortunately, many of you have been affected economically. Many of you, your income has gone down or it's plummeted. You are allowed to apply for IDR. If you're already on an IDR, you can ask for a recalculation based on your current income. Again, with the direct loan, you still don't have to make a payment, but if you recalculate now, that is good until your recertification date. If your recertification date is after October, November, December, you're going to enjoy that lower payment in October, November, December. Now, this is also a very important segue, something that was not discussed in my previous video last week. One of the questions was, what happens to recertification dates that are any time between now and September 20th? Because you're not making payments, do you still need to recertify? And the answer has been clarified. All recertification dates are supposed to be postponed by 6 months. So if your recertification date was in April, it's supposed to be pushed to October. Hypothetically, if your recertification date is in September, that's going to be pushed to 2021. You're going to make me do math. October, November, December, January, February, March. So March 2021. If your recertification is not until October, November, December, then it will be on schedule. There's nothing stopping you from doing a recalculation right now based on lower income. That's just smart move. Anything for private loans, Chris? I hate to tell you this. The answer is no. Private loans not governed by the CARES Act. The best you can do is contact your private lender and ask them, hey, what do you got for me? The worst news is they probably don't have anything for you. Many private lenders will offer you 24 to 36 months of forbearance, which is what they offer you anyway, so you're going to eat up a few months right now. And that's for the life of your loan. And many of these loans are 15 to 20-year terms. So there's not much that they're offering. I haven't seen any lenders that are offering above and beyond protections from what you normally get. If you've already used your 24 to 36 months of forbearance, they will shrug and say, sorry, there's nothing else we can do for you. My response is, do what you got to do. Private loans are just like mortgages and your auto loan and your credit cards. If they offer you a deal, great. If they don't, doesn't mean you have any more money. And if you have to default, then you default. I will tell you, things are going to change in the world of bankruptcy when it comes to student loans, especially for private loans. So, don't worry about that now. And please do not worry about your credit score right now. Everyone is taking a hit. Even the credit companies are aware of this. Many lenders who have said, their mortgage companies, for example, are offering no more late fees. And many companies have already said they will not be reporting if you're 30 or 60 days late. So please don't worry about your credit. Worry about your housing. Worry about your health. Worry about your food. That's what you should be focusing on. I see another question here. Rehabilitated your loans and current. They're now okay. AES is okay. So this is fun. AES, American Education Services, is a DBA of FIA, as is Fed Loan is a DBA of FIA. That's fine. That's correct. The CARES Act does not apply because you still have an FFEL loan. So consolidation might be the way to do that. Bill, I'm happy to help you out with that. I'm happy to help out anybody. So so yes, it's good that you rehabilitated. You got your loans out of default. Rehabilitation is a great way to do this. Do 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 do. Yes, Chris, there is still a good push, a big push to get rid of student loans, to do forgiveness. As many of you know, Bernie has officially dropped out of the race, so the question of loan forgiveness is moving. Quite honestly, I think where we're going to see the biggest changes are in the bankruptcy realm. I believe private student loans first will be allowed to be discharged. I believe eventually federal loans will allow a discharge. Obviously, in the realm of bankruptcy, that doesn't help a lot of us because we're not racing to file bankruptcies. I will, however, say bankruptcy is something that's going to be on the plate for many people when we get done with this. In the world of mortgages, there may be a trick there. Ask your mortgage company what they're doing. If you're requesting a forbearance or a delay on your mortgage payments, ask them how they're treating that. Some are just pushing it to the back of your loan, which is fine. Some of them I've already seen, they're going to be asking you for a balloon payment in August or September. Where they think you're suddenly going to have 4 months worth of payments, I have no idea. But we'll see where we will see where that goes. Oh, that's good to see, Adam. Thank you for that. Navient is offering a 3-month administrative forbearance. Interest does accumulate, but they're saying they're not capitalizing it, and that's good. FYI, capitalization is when they convert interest into principal. That's what we call compound interest. And that happens at the end of any forbearance or deferment. It does not happen under the CARES Act, but think about that. It's because the CARES Act has a 0% interest, so there's no interest to capitalize anyway. Excuse me. So, there's a lot of things going on here. Again, I think the important thing is start at studentaid.gov. Find out if your federal loans are direct or FFEL. If they are FFEL or Perkins, considering consolidation. Getting on to repay now while your income is limited. Even if it's not, repay is often a very good deal. And the next 6 months, no payments are required, no interest. If you're in default, and please pay attention here, if you have a direct loan and you're in default, you're not going to feel the pain. They're stopping the tax refund offset and the Social Security offset and the wage garnishment. Now is a great time to get your loan out of default because you won't have any payments due. Don't wait until October when payments start to come due or the wage garnishment comes back, because the wage garnishment limits on your ability to get out of default. So now is the best time to do it. Thank you, Adam, for clarifying. Navient private loans are offering a 3-month administrative forbearance. That's very nice. Again, thank you, Adam. Do you think interest rates on federal loans will ever decrease? The answer is no. Why? Because the interest rate is set by Congress, and as you know, Congress is the opposite of progress. Kidding. But honestly, it's set by Congress, and a couple of years ago, they set it based on market rates, so I don't expect it to go anywhere that's going to help. And interest rates are pretty much set for new loans. If you consolidate your loans, the interest rate is based on your underlying loans, and they round up by 1/8%. Okay. Okay. Jody, if you're on IBR, they are federal loans. Private loans do not offer income-based repayment. You have what are called FFEL loans. And so those are still federal loans. And Navient owns FFEL loans. So if you have an FFEL loan with Navient, it means Navient owns it. You probably originated the loan with Navient or perhaps with Sallie Mae. Navient came out in 2014. FYI, Navient is Sallie Mae. So if you had a loan from Sallie Mae prior to 2014, it was turned over to Navient. It's still an FFEL. Okay. Jody, you also bring up another good point, which I think is very important for everyone to understand. Income-driven repayment plans in general will not pay off your loan. For most of us, they simply will not pay off the loan. The whole point of it is to survive what's going on, not just literally right now, but student loans in general. 99% of the loans of the clients that I deal with will never pay off their loans. They will achieve forgiveness through the IDR programs in 20 to 25 years. Yeah, that may be taxable. I'm not a tax attorney, not a CPA, can't advise you on it. Senator Durbin out of Illinois has been trying to make these non-taxable since 2011. Every year he reintroduces the bill. Every year we grab a few more senators from both sides of the aisle. It's my belief that by the time we start seeing the big forgivenesses in 2034, it will be non-taxable. I can't promise that to you. But there are things. Jody, Navient told you that they're not federal loans. Again, the way to verify, go to studentaid.gov, make an account, and check. Only federal loans are there. So if you see an FFEL loan owned by Navient, that's a federal loan. If you don't see your loans there, then yes, they are private loans. So that's the first place to check. If they are private loans, then unfortunately you're on a boat that nobody really likes. And again, you'll have to see if Navient will offer anything. We do see that they're offering a 3-month administrative forbearance with interest that they're not capitalizing. We call that kicking the can down the road. Mark, how does this affect the PSLF program? Okay, so in order to qualify for public service loan forgiveness, you need 3 things. You need the right kind of job, which is either for the government, any U.S. government, whether it's federal, state, local. You need to have direct loans only, and you need to be in an income-driven repayment plan. So right now, if you have a direct loan, the CARES Act automatically ceases your payments. That's fine. The next 6 months of ceased payments still count towards public service loan forgiveness. So Mark, as long as you're still employed full-time, you do not have to make payments. The cessation of payments is automatic. If you haven't already been notified, you'll be notified very soon. And the next 6 months you take off, no payments required, still counts towards PSLF. So that's important to note. Obviously, if you've been downsized, if you've been, if you've been let go, then you're not qualifying for PSLF during this time. If you get rehired or start working again at another nonprofit or another government agency, then you'll pick up where you left off. PSLF does not reset unless you consolidate. Same thing with IDR forgiveness time. It is based on your loan. So the only way to reset it is if you consolidate. Even defaulting doesn't necessarily ruin it. If you default and you rehab, it's still the same loan. If you default and consolidate, then it's a new loan. You've lost all your time. So please reach out to me with any questions or concerns. I'm happy to answer quick questions via email. I just want to make sure that you folks are being taken care of. I also, for those of you that would like to work with someone more local to you, I do have about 350 graduates from my student loan law workshop. Most of them are on my website. We're in the process of updating that and getting it a little bit more robust, so please bear with me. You're welcome to email me if you're looking for someone more local, and I'm happy to turn you on to that. I don't get referral fees, so you're happy to work with whoever you want to. I just want to make sure you are being helped. Again, the CFPB says you shouldn't be paying for this assistance. I completely agree. I exist because the industry is inept. They can't seem to speak in plain English, and if you ask them a question that's not on their script, the conversation goes sideways, and of course you don't know what to ask because you're looking for help in the first place. They don't know how to answer you because they're not allowed to. Things just go downhill from there. So, again, happy to help. So, in a nutshell, again, the CARES Act for loans held by the Department of Education, mostly direct loans, 0% interest, No payments due, no collection activity. All of this is on hold until October 1st, 2020. Recertifications are being pushed by 6 months. You should still be allowed to ask for a recalculation. Again, if your recertification is not until January and now is a down time for you, now's a good time to ask for a recalculation. You still don't have to make your payment until October, but take the recertification now. And people will ask me, well, am I obligated to update my income if it goes up? If you read the IDR application, there's no such obligation. The only obligation is if your income goes down, then you're allowed to ask for a recalculation. The only other time they will ask you for your income is when it's time for recertification. Now think about this. If you just recertified in March and you were doing okay, and now this has come up and there's a downturn in your income, apply for the recalculation. You won't have to make any payments until October if it's a direct loan. And then October through March, when you recertify, will be based on your current income right now. You do not have to tell them you've been rehired in October, November, December. That's not a cheat. That's the way the law works. This is all about affordable and making things work for you. You know, for those of you that have a balance of 75 or 100,000 or some ungodly number, I don't know that you'll ever pay it off. We hope you will, but I don't know what life is going to do for you. Nobody knows what that's going to be. I would rather you be in a plan where you can afford your payment and you can worry about other things like now, your health, and when is a good time to go shopping, and, keeping a roof over your head. Those are the things to pay attention to. Your credit is the last thing any of us should be worried about right now. And remember, you only need good credit if you're using that credit. If you own a house and you have a car and you're paying your debts okay, I don't know what you need credit for. Do you need it so you can get another credit card? Honestly, I'm preaching here. I'm sorry. You really shouldn't need a credit card. A credit card is saying you don't have enough to live on. Now, that's a very, very general statement. Many of you are using credit cards because the way your pay is. It might be sporadic. If you're using your credit cards to bridge the gap, I understand that. That's fine, as long as you're paying it down, keeping a small balance. But honestly, if you're looking at your credit cards wondering how am I ever going to pay them, I will tell you the order of priority for your debt: food on your table, health insurance, roof over your head, then your car and auto insurance, your federal loans. Private loans and credit cards, to me, are at the bottom of the heap. And I don't prioritize private loans over credit cards at all. To me, they're all terrible. The only difference is for bankruptcy purposes. A private loan is not necessarily dischargeable in bankruptcy. Your credit cards, they'll go away with the bankruptcy. I'm not going to give any further bankruptcy tips here. I don't know if you need a bankruptcy. I'm happy to connect you with other bankruptcy attorneys if you need help. If for any reason you're thinking about bankruptcy and want a resource, you can go to NACBA.org. That's NACBA, National Association of Consumer Bankruptcy Attorneys.org. They're in all 50 states. They're happy to help. If you need if you need a consumer protection attorney, maybe you've had a problem with your car or an auto loan or your credit or anything like that, you can go to consumeradvocates.org. That is NACA, National Association of Consumer Advocates. I'm members of both of those. If you have any concerns, I'm happy to help you through all that. My specialty, as you see, is student loan issues. So again, CARES can help a lot. If you have an FFEL, consolidation might be the way to deal with that. For those of you that have Parent Plus loans, again, you still qualify for CARES if they're direct Parent Plus loans. If they're FFEL Parent Plus loans, you can consolidate and then take advantage of CARES. While I'm here, let me bring up something else that I haven't discussed lately, and I hope nobody has these, but if you know someone in the boat, please let me know. There are these wonderful things called joint consolidation loans or married spousal consolidation loans. They were available from 98 through 26 because when you get married, you want to share everything, so why not put your loans together too? Unfortunately, people get divorced, but the loans can't. Those are the only loans that are going to suffer greatly under this, especially if it's an FFEL spousal consolidation. You're not allowed to consolidate that again. So those are stuck under FFEL. Anybody who has one of those, I'm happy to talk to you. We have some creative solutions. You may not like them, but in the world of the good, bad, and ugly, as student loans go, spousal consolidations are the ugly. Do we have any more questions for things out there? If not, I'll go ahead and wrap up. I do want to thank you guys for this. I will continue doing these weekly, Wednesdays at 1 o'clock via Facebook. That's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Feel free to post questions, and I can answer them live, or I'll answer them later on throughout the day. Again, you can reach me at www.thestudentloanlawyer.com. I do have blogs there. Feel free to share those. I'm putting these Facebook videos up there as well. Again, any questions or concerns, let me know. If you happen to have a question on something that is tangential but not quite what I know, I'm happy to refer you out to a professional that knows that. So with that, again, my name is Joshua Cohen. I'm the student loan lawyer, and thank you for joining me today. Bye now.